All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. It's another late night stream. It's a cold stream, too. The temperature must have dropped at least 20 degrees here in New York. The wind's picking up. We got things blowing around. And it kind of feels like the first real night of fall, actually, not going to lie. Now, speaking of firsts, today is the first day of the San Gennaro's feast. So we may have enough time to head down towards Little Italy. So for the next 2 weeks in Lower Manhattan, specifically Little Italy, there's going to be festivities. There's going to be just a lot of cool stuff going on. So happy first day of the Feast of San Gennaro to everybody. Now, yesterday was Wednesday. It was the CPI inflation day. And I think we covered a lot. I think we talked about inflation, the particular parts of inflation that are showing improvement, in some places where we're kind of moving in the wrong direction, if you will. So just as a quick recap, inflation did pick up in the United States. However, the majority of the inflation increase was attributed to energy costs. If you take a look at crude oil futures today, we got back above $90 a barrel for crude oil. So as we go into the fall and the winter months here, ladies and gentlemen, does this mean we will see $100 a barrel crude oil again? I don't know. We'll talk about it tonight. Now, additionally, we are starting to see improvement in shelter costs. And we've talked about this almost to the point of ad nauseum yesterday. And shelter costs are really starting to come down. Now, as you know, I now work in the real estate business here in New York, selling some of the most expensive real estate in Manhattan, but I also deal with various price points, pretty much all price points. And I'm starting to see it firsthand. Deals aren't getting done, and the deals that are right on the finish line, contracts are signed, deposits are made. I'm starting to see people back out of those deals. Now, on our team, we just had a $2.5 million deal. Contract was signed, the deposit was made, and the buyer is walking away from the deal and leaving their deposit over $250,000 gone. People are freaked out in this market. So we'll talk about it, but I guess the good news for everybody out there waiting for prices to come down, waiting for rents to come down, we're starting to see that, and I think you're going to see that a little bit more, particularly as you move into the winter months in New York. It's very difficult to sell an apartment in the winter months. It's brutal. It's cold. So I think you're going to continue to see the market soften here a little bit, and I think that'll bring about good deals. I believe we are transitioning from a seller's market to a buyer's market, not only in New York City, but across the country. A little bit of an update for you all. In 2 weeks, we will be back in Miami. So we will be back in the 305. I have some amazing properties lined up for us to see. Hopefully, depending on the internet situation, we will be doing a live streamed property tour of, really amazing properties. So I'm really excited about that. I just wanted to give you that forewarning because in about 2 weeks, give or take, I don't have the exact date just yet, but we will be back in Miami for roughly maybe 2-3 weeks. So we'll keep that on the agenda. I do have to talk about the ECB. Okay, the European Central Bank today, Christine Lagarde, our good friend Christine Lagarde, at the European Central Bank decided to raise interest rates to record levels. Now, remember all the way back to the ridiculous quantitative easing days, not only was the Federal Reserve, that's led by Chairman Jerome Powell, not only was he leaving interest rates artificially suppressed and expanding the balance sheet, but pretty much all central banks around the world. Now, to give some context here, the European Central Bank used to have their interest rate set at negative 0.25%, or negative 0.25%, if you can believe that. We're back in the threes now. So you're seeing this dichotomy of interest rates trending higher, not only in the United States, but globally. This is the turn of a business cycle. I think this is when we're going to see a lot of opportunity. I think this is when we're going to see savers finally getting rewarded yet again, which is great. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you guys what to do, okay? But I will say this. Now is the time to do an internal audit of your finances. Maybe get together with your financial advisor. Look over your accounts. You never know. Maybe you have a couple $100,000 or a couple $1 million sitting in a Chase savings account or a Chase checking account yielding essentially nothing. That can easily be moved to a money market account or a liquid money market account where you're actually going to get like 5% on your money. Now, again, talk all of that stuff over with your dedicated financial advisors. I am not one. But I could say from talking with my friends who aren't as super focused on their finances, they've had significant capital sitting in these accounts at, random banks and savings accounts, yielding pretty much nothing. And it is so easy to shift some of those funds to high yield savings accounts because now, finally, after about a decade, savers are being rewarded yet again in the United States. If you take a look at cnbc.com/bonds, once again, if you go to cnbc.com/bonds, you could see the entire yield curve for not only the United States, but the UK, Germany, everything, right? UK gilts, German bunds. And take a look at some of the interest rates. 1-year U.S. Treasury is yielding just under 5.5%. Some of the short-dated T-bills are also up there near 5%. So take advantage of it. Do an audit of all of your accounts. And because the banks are not going to call you, right? Let's say if you have, $1 million in a Chase checking account or $1 million in a Chase savings account, it's not like Jamie Dimon's going to call you up and say, hey, you left $1 million in this account that we're loaning out 30 times over and making so much money off of it. Did you know you could shift your funds to this account where we're actually going to pay you interest? They're not going to do that. Okay. It's up to you to do that. That's all I got. How is that? We're right at 11-minute introduction. Not bad. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop here. I'm going to pack up my bag, and we will get started. So allow me one moment. And again, happy first day of the San Gennaro's Feast for all of those New Yorkers and anybody who's visiting New York between now and the next 2 weeks. If you do not know about it, you have got to get yourself to Little Italy because it is officially the Feast of San Gennaro. All right, give me 2 seconds here, and we will get started. Let me clip on the microphone. Oof. Man, that was a little bit painful. I forgot my... Oops. I'm all over the place today. I was working like crazy. Oh man, I forgot my little stand for the phone. So I was like doing a balancing act between my computer and between holding my phone. I forgot the little stand. So if the stream looks a little bit shaky tonight, that is why. Okay, for a little bit of context in relation to where we are. We are currently standing on the corner of West 60th Street and Broadway. We are looking down into Columbus Circle. We are standing at the Little Plaza at the Trump International Hotel and Tower, looking up at none other than the Deutsche Bank Towers, formerly known as the Time Warner Center. If we look to the north, we have 15 Central Park West, or the Limestone Building, which we sort of talked about last night. We did, last night's row, we gave some really good book recommendations, and here it is. This is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. You could actually see into some of the executive suites. These are the one-bedroom suites at the Trump International Hotel and Tower. All right, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. And I don't even know where we're going to go tonight. I think we'll just sort of play it by ear. So let me scroll to the top and see who we got. Hey, Dallas is here, Panda Express. Sunshine After Rain, Zach Drew, Richard Vogel, British Grey, Jim is here, Brian, A-Scan, Arctic Paratrooper, what's up? Justin S., the ABX girl from the Bronx. ABX girl, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you had a good summer. Richard Vogel, Austin City Limits, welcome. Hunt is here, Jay Grant, what's up Jay? Dallas, Danielle, Jafet Perez, Emerson from Brazil. Colton Manning, welcome Colton. The Godfather is here, good to see you. Lena Sandoval, Gigi NYC, Harry Connor, and the one and only Ryan Beck. Ryan Beck, good to see you, sir. What'd you think about some of those inflation prints that we got yesterday? Inflation's ticking up in the United States, but we pretty much called it to a T. I mean, everybody here on the stream, we pretty much called it, right? So just a quick recap for those of you who missed the live stream yesterday. Yesterday was Wednesday, and we heard from the Bureau of Labor Statistics as they released their CPI numbers for August, the previous month, right? Inflation ticked up a little bit in the United States, but we have, or I should say we're just starting to see some material improvement in shelter costs, finally, right? Because real estate is a very rate-sensitive industry, and interest rates are going up. We heard from the European Central Bank today, Christine Lagarde, and they raised interest rates, right? So energy prices are going up again in the United States. Crude oil as of today, I was watching it live, crude blasted above $90 a barrel yet again, which means higher prices for all of you at the pump. What do we think? Wendy England is here. Hey, Wendy, good to see you. A-Scans is how about going crosstown to the east side? That's a really good idea, actually. We may do that. That's a really good idea. DA is here. Good to see you. This is the Need to Create is here. Welcome. Renee B, good to see you. JC, what's up? What's up? Mohammed says, hey from Dallas, Texas. Good to see you, Mohammed. Apparently it's garbage night at the Trump Tower. Lots of trash piled up. So we'll see what we could do. Maybe we'll walk all the way over to Fifth Avenue. We'll check out the GM building. And maybe we'll go a little bit towards the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Once again, this is the main entrance to the Trump International Hotel and Tower, as well as the residences and Jean George's, which is a Michelin star restaurant. You see all of New York City's Billionaires Row in the distance. Hey, Evan Weeks is or head left and go to Sesame Street. Yeah, we could do that. Evan Weeks, any thoughts about the inflation report yesterday? Any thoughts about the ECB today? And also, guys, speaking of IPOs, we briefly talked about initial public offerings just in general, like deal flow on Wall Street yesterday. There was a major, much anticipated IPO that happened today. Does anybody want to guess what that was? Many of you probably already know. Ooh, yeah, Ryan Beck. This is Tom. Hopefully you'll tell us a little bit more about that wonderful property at Red Hook. Yeah, so Red Hook, 199 Conover Street, the Conover, is one of our new listings. So our team won the pretty much the entire, I would say the second half of the deal. It's about a 22-unit condominium. It's about 50% sold out, and we were chosen to sell out the other 50%. So there's 2 penthouses, there's a couple townhouses that we need to sell out. And it's looking good. We've been seeing a lot of interest, particularly from a lot of the viewers, right? We've been posting a lot of property tours, walkthroughs, and even live streams. We did a live open house where we checked out Penthouse 3A and Penthouse 3B. And we may get an offer from a viewer, which is beyond me, guys. I mean, you know, doing this live stream, it's just like, I don't really comprehend the reach of the internet, if you really think about it, right? Some nights we could have like 800 to 900 people concurrently watching the live stream. When you really think about that, that's incredible. It's like insanity, right? Those are 800 to 900 living, breathing human beings participating in the chat, giving their feedback, sharing their criticisms, and watching the stream. That's unbelievable. I can't even wrap my head around that. And that's a huge reach for these properties. And it's just unbelievable. And I really do appreciate all of you watching, right, sharing the videos. It's helping me out a lot, I will say that. So I appreciate what you guys do. It means a lot. It really does mean a lot. Hey, Marketing Videography, what's up? Good to see you on this pretty cold night in the city. Must have dropped about 20 degrees since this afternoon. It's actually kind of cold. I believe that's because Hurricane Lee is coming up the East Coast. Now, thank God, right? I'm not sure if anybody else is tracking this. It looks like the massive monster storm, Hurricane Lee, is going to miss the state of Florida. But it could potentially provide record storm surge and surf all up and down the East Coast. So my fingers are crossed, and I'm hoping and praying that South Shore, Long Island, New York City, Lower Manhattan, parts of Brooklyn and Queens, hopefully we don't get any flooding or we don't get any storm surge. Fingers crossed, because, you know, I get these flashbacks, you know, back to Hurricane Sandy. I'm sure many of the viewers or people in the chat, many of you watching this live stream right now, remember Hurricane Sandy, particularly if you are from New York or New Jersey, particularly the outer boroughs, right? It was a disaster. So hopefully, I mean, that's probably the number one thing on my mind. Hopefully we do not get any flooding, but that is yet to be seen. Yeah, sunshine after rain says hopefully no flooding. I know. I would almost rather have the torrential rain and the wind and guarantee that we don't have any storm surge, because the storm surge is what causes the most damage by far. Hey, Michael Joseph says, when people ask what New York is like, I tell them to watch the stream. Thank you, Michael Joseph. I appreciate that. Hey, Jules says, you are the best, Tom, at presenting and drawing people in with your enthusiasm. I really do appreciate your kind words. It does mean a lot. We are now on Central Park South, everybody. So we are transitioning from 59th Street, Columbus Circle, and we are now going to turn and walk all the way to the east side. So we're going to go all the way down by the Sherry Netherland, which you can kind of see in the distance a little bit. We'll just wait till these guys go because we don't want to run into that. Chris from Florida says, my brother lost power for 4 days during Hurricane Sandy. Dude, I mean, some parts and some small towns on Long Island, like Long Beach, Oceanside, and the like, were out of power for about 2 weeks. FEMA came in, they had these sort of set up generators, and it took years to rebuild. Literally, that's not being hyperbolic. It took years to rebuild some of these homes. You know, I remember walking, excuse me, right outside of the Long Island Railroad train station, right at Long Beach, about a week after Sandy came through. And parts of the boardwalk, and I'm serious, parts of the boardwalk were all the way up by the train station. And there was about 6 inches of sand covering all of the streets closest to the boardwalk. Because the water, the storm surge was so powerful, it took all of the surf, the sand, and the dirt from the ocean and pushed it all the way up, almost all the way up to by Long Beach Road. That's how crazy it was. The boardwalk was completely gone. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Long Beach, New York. Great boardwalk, great town. But Sandy destroyed the whole boardwalk. It was literally in pieces. They had to rebuild a brand new concrete one. It's half concrete, half wood. But yeah, I mean, you get the picture. And, you know, these storms can cause severe economic calamity, particularly in states where their emergency funds are pretty much run to zero. States like Texas, states like Florida. And this couldn't come at a worse time, because I'm sure many homeowners are watching the stream right now. Chances are your property and homeowners insurance went up and maybe even doubled this year. So the more hurricanes there are, the more natural disasters, the higher, unfortunately, our insurance premiums go, which is not good. Let me tell you that, not good. Hey, Kevin Grant, this should have said Tom. All right, Kevin Grant, good to see you. I know, the need to create us talking about Sandy is giving me anxiety. Pam B is here, Optimus17, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Chris from Florida, what's up, Chris? Nigel Gill says, cooler in Longview, Texas also. Welcome to everybody from Longview, Texas. Where is Longview, Texas, by the way? Is that on the Gulf Coast? Is that sort of mainland Texas? All right, so we are now standing on the corner of Central Park South, or 59th Street, and 7th Avenue. This is the New York Athletic Club, the very famous New York Athletic Club. And right behind it is 157, the original building on New York City's Billionaires Row. Sort of maneuver over to the side here. Hey, Michelle Henry says, my parents live in Oklahoma. My dad said his homeowner's insurance went up. Oklahoma gets a ton of tornadoes. Yeah, I mean, that's another place where I could only imagine how high insurance premiums went up. There have been some circumstances for those of you who may own your homes outright, meaning that you don't have a mortgage. There's a record amount of people now in particular states like California, Florida, where homeowners insurance is just astronomical. I hate how people barrel down Central Park South at like 90 miles an hour. It's going to get somebody killed. It's corny, it's cringe, and because they try to show off that they have a Lamborghini. But guess what? Everybody has money in New York. Nobody cares about your Lamborghini. But there's a record amount of people now, particularly in states like California and Florida, who own their homes outright that are actually foregoing homeowners insurance, unfortunately, because premiums are just so high. Hey Pete, what's up? Good to see you. Thank you so much for your very generous and kind donation. Oh, that's right. I believe that's tomorrow. The contract expires, right? So there could be a potential strike. Pete, you're correct. I forgot about that. Thanks so much. Appreciate your donation. Hey, who dat Dave? It's Tom. I went from 6 weeks no power after Hurricane Katrina. Phew, I can only imagine what that must have been like, man. And that's very, very hot and humid weather down there too. Yeah, hurricanes are no fun. If you live in an environment where you get a lot of those type of massive weather events, it's best to be prepared and have a backup generator, have a lot of gas, water. I think I told you on a previous live stream that I've dedicated a soul closet in my house, sort of like a hurricane preparedness closet. Now this is at my place in Miami, right? Because you're guaranteed to get a hurricane every year. It's just expected. It's not if you're going to get a hurricane in Miami, it's when and how powerful. That's sort of what I keep telling myself. It's like, don't stress about when the hurricane's going to come. Just know it's going to come and prepare the best you can. There's nothing else you could do. But yeah, I have, canned food, dry food in there. I have a couple gallons of water. And I bought 2 5-gallon buckets from Home Depot. Because they say, a few days before the hurricane is supposed to hit, you're supposed to fill up at least 2 5-gallon buckets of water just so you could flush the toilets and things like that. They also say to fill up your bathtub, but I don't have a bathtub at the house. So, yeah, Rolly Hiker says you need a Jackery power station, Tom, for your closet in Florida. Chris from Florida says we don't have insurance. Went from $2,000 to $4,000. Whoa! So are you saying you're going without homeowners insurance, Chris from Florida? That's crazy. Now your premium isn't all that bad, actually. It's kind of what mine is. I think mine's a little bit more than yours. Mine's about $4,300. Now mine went down, but mine was egregiously high, and I'm not in a flood zone, so. We'll see. Chris from Florida says our house was in 2005. Oh, and you had to replace the roof. Copy that. Ukrainian Royal says, hey Tom, I wanted to get your opinion on the migrant crisis in New York right now. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, but I'll quickly give you the rundown because I've been getting so many inquiries about that. Look, it's a big problem, and it's going to be a financial crisis in New York because of that. In terms of the budget, 2 weeks ago we had the mayor of New York City. For those of you who don't know, the mayor of New York City is Mr. Eric Adams. So Mayor Eric Adams did a little bit of a speech in front of his constituents, and it was broadcast live, I believe, for everybody to watch. And we are currently, assuming if this crisis doesn't get rectified or the federal government doesn't step in to help New York, we're looking at a multi-billion-dollar deficit, which means the following. Which means all of the public service that we have in New York, from the schools to the subways to the libraries, pretty much anything you could think of that is, government funded and operated in New York is going to get cut. And the mayor said that specifically. He says the deficit we're running means it's not about, if things are going to get cut, it's when is it going to get cut and by how much. So maybe the trains don't run as often. And that also probably means taxes are going to go up for people who do live in New York to try to compensate for the gap there. So it's a big problem. It really, really is a big problem. According to the city of New York, the mayor's office, there's been about 100,000 migrants that have come to New York City thus far. It's projected that there could be an additional 50,000 by Q2 of 2024. That would bring the total to about 140 to 150,000. That would just totally overwhelm the city. Now, this isn't me saying this, by the way. I'm just reporting the news. This is what the city government is saying. This is what the mayor of New York City is saying. And this is coming directly from the mayor's office. So, it is a big problem. And the city is paying a ridiculous amount of money to some of these hotels that house the migrants. And some of them, aren't even housed properly. There's been reports out of the New York Times, out of the New York Post, and even the Wall Street Journal doing some investigative reporting that have stated that some of the conditions, the living, the sleeping, the bathroom conditions for these migrants aren't even safe or sanitary. So to me, the whole thing doesn't really make sense, right? Number one, we're spending all this money to house the migrants, and all the money we're spending isn't even giving them quality shelter. According to some of these investigative reports, many of the conditions are living in squalor. Now, again, this isn't me saying this. I'm reporting on the news, which I don't even think is humane, right? So it's not even like it's working. That's sort of the frustration that I think a lot of New Yorkers have, because we're spending all this money, and then the money we're spending isn't even going towards quality care. So it's like a total waste all around. So it is a problem. Now, the last thing I'll say about it is this, and then we'll move on. It's just I have to address it every now and then because we get a lot of questions about it. And it's important to the city of New York, particularly homeowners, particularly property owners, people who have children in New York City that go to the public school. So the last thing I'll say about it is this. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't have kids, so tread lightly with what I'm about to say. There have been protests, I wouldn't say organized protests, I would say disgruntled parents across the city that are not happy with some of the undocumented migrant children attending school because they don't have all of the necessary immunization records, I guess, right? Again, I don't have a kid, I don't really know how the process works, but I remember when I went to school, right, in elementary school, my parents would take me to the doctor to get all the shots. You have to get your list of, what is it called? The immunizations? Look, I don't know about it. But apparently, since there's no record, since there's no documentation, they're not required to get those necessary vaccines to go to the schools. So only the documented kids have to do it, so it kind of negates the purpose of doing it because there could be sicknesses and illnesses going around. I don't know. It's a mess, right? I think we'd all agree it's a mess. It's not an ideal situation. It's causing a lot of animosity in the city on both sides, and I'm talking about the political sides of the spectrum. And it could potentially be a health risk from what I'm reading. So, hey, Ukrainian Royal, what's going on? Thank you so much for your generous $5 donation. Just thank you for your honest thoughts. It's best not to get political here, though. God have mercy on New York. Yeah, I mean, look, it is important to talk about. I do get a lot of emails about this, particularly because a lot of people who reach out to me via email are either individuals that are looking to vacation in New York, visit, and they're looking for advice on where to go, or people who may be interested in moving to New York. Maybe they have 1 or 2 kids, and they see and read all the scary news articles in the media, and they are asking me if there's any weighting to that, which I understand. And I always give a straight shooter perspective, right? I'll never, gaslight or blow smoke. So it is a problem. I think it's a crisis. And do I have any confidence in the federal government that they'll step in and help? It's low, but something does need to be done, because now you're not only having political pressure from one side of the aisle, it's both sides, right? The mayor of New York City is not a Republican, he's a Democrat, and he has been very, very outspoken from the lack of help. He doesn't have any help. I mean, he's doing the best he can with the resources he has in New York, but I mean, the job of the federal government is to protect the U.S. border. That's not Mayor Eric Adams' job to protect the southern border. He's the freaking mayor of New York City. That's not his job. Not to point the finger, but, I like to be fair. So that's what I think. Anyway, we are now standing outside of the Plaza Hotel. Maybe we'll actually get a little bit closer. Let's see if we can go inside tonight, actually. It doesn't look like there's too many people here. We'll ask permission first, obviously. We don't want to be a menace. But the inside of the Plaza Hotel, particularly the lobby, is gorgeous. The architectural beauty and the architectural integrity of this building is second to none. It is fantastic. So let's check it out. Let's see if we can go in. Look at the beautiful red rugs. This is 768 Fifth Avenue. It leads up to these beautiful rotating doors here. I want to show you all one detail about the plaza. All of the light posts and the lamp posts here have special carvings of the Plaza Hotel's crest or shield. It's just really, really amazing attention to detail. It's beautiful. And if you look up, check out all of those moldings. And this is solid, I believe this is a marble facade. You'll notice some of the netting up here. They do that to prevent birds, like pigeons and things like that, from coming in here and doing their business here. It's gorgeous though. What do you guys think? All right, so we are now about to enter the Plaza Hotel. We do have to be a little bit quiet here, but I want you guys to enjoy the lobby of the Plaza Hotel. Wow, look at that chandelier. Oh my God, that is unbelievably beautiful. Wow. And right as you come in, guys, look at that. They have a custom rug with the Plaza Hotel logo. Wow. I wonder how much a chandelier like that costs. It's gorgeous. They have all fresh flowers, which smells really nice. So the hotel lobby is off to your left, right as you walk in the plaza. Now in the back, this is sort of the bar, the dining room, which we will check out right now. Wow, this is kind of like going into a Great Gatsby scene. Look at the backlit ceiling here. I'll try to put the camera on the wide angle lens, even though it's not good quality, just to give you some depth perception. And look at that ceiling one more time, everybody. That's stunning. Okay, we'll bring it back to full 1080p. I love this oval-shaped bar here. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these New York walks every night starting at 8:30. I'll quickly just show you what's around the corner here. Now everything is totally covered in marble. I believe this is the famous Eloise at the Plaza. I'm sure everybody's seen this before. Pup, we are in the Plaza Hotel. All right, one more look at the chandeliers and then we will head out. It's gorgeous in here. And they keep it very clean and it smells so fresh because of all of the fresh flowers that are replaced every day. It's a beautiful hotel. So this is back into the main foyer here with your gorgeous chandelier. It's unbelievable. It's really stunning. And yes, all of the flowers are real and they smell fantastic. Inside the Plaza Hotel. And this is the main front door. And all of those crown moldings are amazing. All right, let's head out. That was cool. And then you look out right at the GM building and the original, I should say the flagship Apple store. So right as you step outside the Plaza Hotel, this is your view. You see 432 Park Avenue, the GM building, and you're standing adjacent from the Sherry Netherland. Pretty cool. I'm glad we walked in there. You know, as long as you're quiet and respectful, they don't mind filming. Now, I have a question for all of you. Has anybody here in the chat ever stayed at the Plaza Hotel? Hey, photos from around New York. What's up? Good to see you. Teresa Diaz, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Mike says, I bet it's really nice during the holidays. I promise you we will be back doing a full tour of the Plaza Hotel during the holidays. We did it last year and it was amazing. And we will also be going to the St. Regis. Ah, Sabrina Fair says your husband has, you haven't? I haven't either. I'd love to stay there though. I just really have no reason to because I live here. Hey, Dan Zhang, what's up? This is Tom. Have you been following the alien corpse news in Mexico? I call BS. I call BS too. I haven't really been following it, but I've seen some of the videos on Twitter. Now, it's obviously BS. I think the only reason why it has a little bit of weighting towards it is because, the Mexican government is covering it, I guess? But I mean, the thing couldn't look more fake. I've seen rats in New York City that look more alien than that thing. So, I'll leave it at that. Hey, Emmanuel, what's up? Fernando's is planning to visit New York in November. Any recommendations? I do have some recommendations. If you send me an email, my email should be in the link in the description. I will send you a list of things to do that I'd recommend. Because there's so many things to do in the city that I can't really, if I start to name them, it'll be like 5 hours. Hey, War Walker says you believe. Tobias says, hey Tom, was wondering if you've talked about the new iPhone yet. No, we haven't. So they announced it, and the higher tier iPhones are going to be a little bit more expensive by $200 to $300. We'll see how it's going to sell. I just have some concerns about the price hike. We are now standing directly across the street from the flagship Tiffany. Looks beautiful. Hey, Angelina says yes, Bergdorf. Michelle Henry, sorry, have to go, need to be up at 4 for work. Hopefully I can catch you tomorrow. Not a problem, yeah. Well, have a fantastic Friday. I can't believe tomorrow is already Friday, so best of luck at work in whatever you do. Hey, Joan K, what's up? Dan Zhang says, I think more people are going to buy Apple products on an installment plan. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that, right? The buy now, pay later stuff. I've seen a lot of companies pushing that. Anybody heard of the company Afterpay? It's sort of like the buy now, pay later service. From a personal financial standpoint, I'm not a big fan of those. I think it essentially just allows consumers to keep kicking the can down the road, so to speak. Think about the evolution of consumer spending in America. It really exploded. I should say consumerism in a way. Really exploded after the introduction and the invention of credit cards, right? I feel as if buy now, pay later is another tool and invention to help people continue to extend themselves beyond their means. Not to be too negative, but at least that's what it seems. We are now standing directly outside of the Trump Tower, right here on 5th Avenue, and then you have the Louis Vuitton store, which is owned by LVMH, and so is Tiffany. But you really have to read the fine print on these buy now, pay later contracts, because even though there's technically no interest on some of them, right? You could just amortize the cost over 6 months. But if you miss a payment, I mean, the fees are ridiculous. And obviously, they want to make money. So the business model is they're betting on some consumers to miss payments so they could charge them the fees and they could charge them the interest. That's why a lot of these things are marketed specifically towards people with not the best credit scores. That's why I'm a little bit against it. But look, if you can utilize something and be responsible about it and just pay it on time, I don't see anything wrong with it, right? Because there's no interest. But again, you have to remember these companies are banking on you to miss the payment. That's what they want. So, hey, Joel PM says Tom should capture walks in 3D on the iPhone 15 for Vision Pro users. Oh my God. If that's a capability, I will do that actually. I'll have to look into it. I've been so busy I haven't really seen all the features. But if that is a feature, we will be doing that. I can assure you we will be doing that. That would look so sick. All right, we're gonna pull off to the side here and look at the front entrance of the 5-star Peninsula Hotel that sits right here at 700 Fifth Avenue. This is an amazing hotel. Look at all that beautiful architecture on the side. The facade is amazing here. Hey, Pedro Luis says, hey Tom, Pedro here from Brazil. Have you ever thought about doing some podcasts similar to 20VC Harry Stebbings podcast? Maybe. I'm not too familiar with that one, but I don't know. Maybe. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be maybe a good idea. Thank you for watching, by the way, all the way from Brazil. I appreciate it very, very much. Right across the street is the St. Regis. This is another 5-star hotel in New York. Which these hotels are probably going to fill up pretty quickly because we have that big UN assembly coming to New York. These hotels are always packed when that happens once a year. Lisa says, what do you think is going to be the effect of the report from Europe saying iPhone 12 is emitting above standard radiation? Now, I'm a little bit torn on that, and I'll tell you why. Now, I don't want to get too political here, but there's been so many conspiracy people saying that 5G and cell phones are emitting radiation that's giving us cancers and all this stuff. And all of the experts have been saying, no, it's fake news, it's fake news, it's fake news. And then you get hit with this headline. It's like, I'm even raising a little bit of my eyebrows here. So that's what I'll say. This is the University Club, and guys, look at the amazing detail, the ceiling inside the University Club. It's unbelievable. It's almost like being in the New York Public Library and the Morgan Library all in one. This is an exclusive club that sits right on New York City's Fifth Avenue. We'll turn the corner here and you could actually see some more of the amazing architecture. All this hand painting on the roof is unbelievable. Joseph Hardaway, good to see you, Joseph. Thanks for joining us. We are now at the New York's University Club that sits on the corner of West 54th Street. Look at those beautiful window dressings here. It's almost like you're taking a walk back in time. And it smells really good, by the way, and we're not even inside. It smells like a very luxurious 5-star hotel's perfume. Wow, look at that shot. You could see all the way inside the University Club. That's stunning. Hey, LJ, this is Tom. The Peninsula Hotel is great to hang out on the rooftop and have a drink in the summer with amazing views. You know what? I got to give you another recommendation. Thank you for saying that, by the way. Does anybody remember yesterday when we were talking about the Amman, New York? Now, Amman, New York is on 57th Street and 5th Avenue all the way uptown. And I've never been inside, but I just got an email from a client who's coming in to New York City, and they're going to be staying there. And he wants to grab a drink at the bar at the Amman. So I was Googling it, I was looking it up. There's some really cool images on the Google reviews at the Amman, New York, and it looks like a stunning outdoor deck there. So maybe when I go there, I will take some photos and upload it for you guys to see. But I've never been to the one at the Peninsula. I'll have to check it out. I'm assuming anybody could just walk in there. Maybe you don't have to be a guest at the hotel. I've been to the bar and restaurant at the Park Hyatt at 157, and you don't necessarily need to be a guest at the hotel to go. Hey, Bob Smith's has only discovered University Club recently. Seems exceptional. Would like to discover more places like that. Well, there's a lot of them in New York City. They're these very exclusive clubs that are really used as networking events and networking places. Sort of like you would join a country club, right? They're stunning. I've never been inside of it, but from the outside looking in, it looks phenomenal. This is St. Thomas Church. This is one of my favorite landmarks here in New York City, and you can see all the beautiful architecture encapsulating the entire church. Just amazing craftsmanship here. Ooh, Hang with Mark Moms says my favorite is the Cornell Club. I gotta ask my brother to take me in there. My brother went to Cornell. I'm assuming any alumni could go there, right? You can get in. Now, the Yale Club looks pretty cool. We may walk past the Yale Club tonight. That's right outside Grand Central Station. Yeah, all those Ivy League clubs around the city look really nice. Arsenal Fan 13 says, Tom, have you been inside the Equinox Hotel at the Hudson Yards? I have. I've never stayed there, but I've been inside. And it's really nice, and it smells really good too. It smells very fresh. That hotel is expensive though, Arsenal Fan. I believe that's another one that's like $800 a night and up. Hey, Armando says, hey Tom, thank you so much for your content. Next week marks 1 year since my only trip to New York City. It was like an oasis in the middle of a hard mental health time. Reliving it, sorry, just the chat's going crazy. Reliving it through you has been a calming experience. Thank you for saying that. And I'm happy that you're here watching the streams. And I'm glad it's bringing back good memories. And hopefully, you'll be able to visit New York again very, very soon. Holidays are coming up. The city is going to look beautiful, and I think you'd enjoy a second trip. So fingers crossed for that. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it very much. Speaking of the holidays, this is West 52nd Street, and we are looking at the Cartier building. This building, in my humble opinion, is the best to look at holiday Christmas decorations. It's always lit up the best, in my opinion. And I think it's because of the facade of the building. It has very, very bright white and polished. I'm not sure if it's a marble facade. I think it's sort of like a rock. I don't know what it is, but it's white, and then you have the textured outlines of those red sort of like drapes that are coming down, those awnings, and they have all white lights. And usually, they didn't have it last year, which I wasn't too happy about, but they usually have a huge Jaguar that's lit up for the holidays that is sort of wrapping around the entire building. That's my favorite spot to look at the decorations, right here. This is a better view. That's the old Versace store, by the way. But we've been talking about commercial real estate a lot on the stream. Things are getting expensive, and Versace has now moved out. So this is totally vacant. So you used to have Cartier, which is a gorgeous building. Also, the Versace flagship is another gorgeous building, but this is completely vacant now. Look at that. They haven't gone out of business. They've just relocated to Madison Avenue, where the rent is a little bit cheaper. We'll cross the street and try not to get hit by a car, and we will try to peek around the inside of the old Versace. Hey, Pierre Kirby says the Amman, New York is $3,400 to $4,000 per night. They have only 3 properties in the United States: Utah, New York, and Jackson Hole. That would make sense that they would have it in Jackson Hole, right? Yeah, I believe it's a destination hotel, and I think, I'm not 100% sure, I believe it's a Japanese brand. That seems pretty expensive. When I checked last, you could get a room for $1,200, but still, I mean, $1,200 isn't, some spit in the park. You still have the original Versace insignia, and look at that. Totally empty inside the Versace store. I mean, it's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong. Look at the detail of the floor. This is all hand-placed tile. It's just so unfortunate that this is totally vacant now. Really, really unfortunate. Hey, Ricardo305, what's up? Says, good evening, my friend. Just a question. What's your prediction about interest rates? When are they going to go down? 2024, what do you think? It's a good question. So, yeah, we'll sort of get back into it. We were kind of straying off track. So let's talk about interest rates for a moment. Does anybody know what happened today as it relates to interest rates? Nothing in the United States, nothing as it relates to the Federal Reserve. But we heard from Christine Lagarde over at the ECB, which is the European Central Bank. And the ECB decided to raise interest rates yet again. Now, when they started to transition from the quantitative easing cycle to the quantitative tightening cycle, interest rates at the ECB were negative 0.25%. Now they're back in the 3s. So you're not only having the Federal Reserve, which is the US central bank, tighten, you're having global central banks tighten. Now, Christine Lagarde and the ECB did give some nuanced hints today that this could potentially be the peak of the hiking cycle. Now, do I buy it? I don't. I'm just gonna be very blunt. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm right? It doesn't mean that I'm right. Do I buy that this is the peak in the hiking cycle in the United States as it relates to the Federal Reserve? No, I don't. For a few reasons. Now, if you listen to a lot of people who are much smarter than me, much more educated than me, Goldman Sachs came out and their research department, their economists at Goldman Sachs are predicting and are forecasting that the Federal Reserve is going to start cutting the Fed funds rate as soon as Q1 of 2024. Now, Q1 2024, guys, isn't that far off? It's like 4 months, right? We're already almost halfway through September. Then before you know it, it's going to be the end of the year. We're going to be celebrating New Year's. But here's sort of my take on the situation. Yesterday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, for August. Inflation ticked up in the United States. Now, shelter costs came down, and if we continue to go down in terms of shelter costs, I believe that the inflation rate in the United States will get back to 2% in a hurry, which is the Fed's preferred target. That's the Fed's target, is 2%. But as of right now, sitting at 3.7% inflation, the Fed would be crazy to start cutting right now. I mean, could you imagine if we get a rate cut right now? All of the progress that the Fed has essentially achieved, I think, would go to waste. There's no reason to be stimulative here. We still need things to come down. We still need the economy to cool down. And the unemployment rate is still near record low levels. Now, it has upticked a little bit, But still, the economy seems to be in pretty good shape and very strong. People are employed, consumer spending is healthy, better than expected. So to have the Federal Reserve cut rates in the next 6 months, I just couldn't see a world where that could even be possible. I just really couldn't. That would totally spike inflation yet again in the United States. And if you want to get a little bit political, now I know that the Federal Reserve and the federal government are completely separate entities. They're not supposed to be working in tandem with one another. But there's no way that the Fed, in an election year, would start to cut and jeopardize having inflation skyrocket again in America in an election year. I just think that would be it just would not happen. I can't see it happening. And we have to think about how business cycles work. So I'll recommend a book, right? And we recommended it last night on the stream. We're walking now at Rockefeller Center. This is 30 Rock. Beautiful. Here's the problem, right? Monetary policy, the Federal Reserve pulls the levers on the economy for specific reasons. And they do that by doing one of two things. Number one is they adjust the short-term lending rate, which is called the federal funds rate, which just so happens to currently sit at 5.25% to 5.5%. That's the Fed funds target rate right now. Number two, they do that by the Fed balance sheet, which is made up of mortgage-backed securities and U.S. Treasuries. When the Fed buys treasuries or buys mortgage-backed securities, that's essentially their way of providing liquidity to the marketplace and printing money. So if you have the economy firing on all cylinders, inflation's still running a little bit hot, and oil, or I should say crude oil, going back above $90 a barrel, why would you ever start to be stimulative again when you have rates back to 20-year highs and the economy is still doing relatively well? Why would you pour more fuel on the economic fire to turbocharge the economic growth and then have inflation run wild? It just doesn't make any sense. The Federal Reserve's job is to sort of be the guardrails for the economy. Now, I don't agree with the Federal Reserve. I think we should potentially end the Fed, but that's never going to happen. So that's sort of how I think about it. So I disagree with Goldman Sachs, but then again, I'm not smart enough to work at Goldman Sachs. So maybe I'll be wrong and they'll be right. I guess we'll wait and see. Hey, Met Peen says 14 plus years of cheap money. It'll take decades to get inflation down at this rate. Our government overspent. I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you. Yeah, I mean, we're essentially coming off of an economic experiment, right? It's not normal. And this is, I always tend to laugh, when clients of mine say, when are interest rates going to go back down? This is not normal. This is crazy. Money is so expensive. And I'm like, no. If you look at historical context as it relates to monetary policy, we're going back to normal. It wasn't normal to leave interest rates artificially suppressed and to have the Fed continuously print money and expand the balance sheet. That was abnormal. We did that to get ourselves out of the 2008 financial crisis, and essentially we stopped the bleeding because the Federal Reserve came in and put a put under the market. So we're actually going back to normal. I'm sure many of you who may have purchased homes or real estate in the 1970s or 1980s, well, your interest rates on a 30-year fixed probably were around 8 to 10%, right? I think the millennials and the Gen Zs, which is my generation, we grew up in an economic environment of artificially suppressed rates. So we're accustomed to cheap money. We're accustomed to easy money. It's not always like this. It's not supposed to be like this. So again, I think of it as like you're coming down from a high. Everybody was you know, hitting the bong, smoking weed, you know, getting hammered, you know, taking tequila shots for 14 years. And now, you know, once the principal, you know, busts down the door to the locker room and they see a big party being thrown and the principal starts to take away the alcohol and tells you to put out your blunt, well, guess what? The party's over and it kind of stinks. And yeah, it's sort of like the addict. You want the drug again. And the drug in this economy has been easy money. So, hey, NMB045, good to see you. We just took a little bit of a walk around the one and only, what is that called? Rockefeller Center. We'll wait till the rickshaw guy goes. This is the Rainbow Room at Rockefeller Center. You can go into the observation deck, and this is also the entrance where you can get into the NBC studios where they shoot Saturday Night Live. Hey, Gary Carpenter, what's up? Jay Nash is here. Hey, Hawaii, appreciate that. Good to see you. Now, I don't want to ask, but I have to ask because I'm just so curious. What is going on with all this Barbie stuff? I see it just absolutely hammered, non-stop, 24/7, 365, but I'm sort of out of the loop. Anybody want to let me know what's going on with that, or should I just not even bother asking? I totally understand if you say, don't even bother asking. I just don't get it. I've been seeing the rickshaw guys blast the Barbie stuff. I see it on like the YouTube advertisements. What's going on with this thing? Melissa 2087 says great marketing, love the Barbie movie. Ah, a movie. Now I'm going to assume it's probably one of the highest grossing movies in box office history because I've been seeing this thing everywhere. Ooh, everybody, for all our businessmen and businesswomen in the chat, I'd like to make a recommendation, if I may. Is that okay? So for all our great businessmen and businesswomen in the chat, this is an amazing Italian goods store for leather products like briefcases, backpacks, suitcases, and the like. It's called Pineider, so Pineider. Check them out. It is really cool. It's all Italian leather. And after about 10 years of using the same exact briefcase, I just decided to upgrade mine about, what is it now? 4 or 5 months? I got a nice one from here, which should last about 15 years. So I'll be rocking that for about 15 years. I got a black leather one. It's nice. It's really good quality. The other one I had for 15 years, not for 15 years. It was when I got my first real account executive job. The first day on the desk was, you know, just a regular briefcase. And it got so worn and beat up that the bottom like gave out and all my stuff went all over the place. And the actually wore through the metal. So it's store to get things at. Now again, it's pricey, but these are the type of things that you buy once every 15 years. So if you're a big meeting, if you're going to a big client pitch, and you need something that looks really nice Italian leather. Oh, I could show it to you. I just realized I'd have to undo the microphone, which is not worth it. All right, we'll go. We'll take a little bit of a walk around. We are now outside of the Radio City Music Hall. You can see the Tonight Show logo here. Yeah, I think we're probably buffering, right? We always buffer around this location. I don't know why. There's like a dead zone right at the corner there. Hey, Dusty Cole, Brian Forrest is here. What's up? There must be some show coming out of the Radio City Music Hall tonight. Look at all these guys. Like they're lined up waiting for people to come out. Hey, Wendy England, what's up? All right, let's head back uptown. But first, this is one of my favorite shots, looking southbound, right at Radio City. Hey, Daniel G from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hopefully we'll see you in New York very soon. I'll be back in Miami in about 2-ish weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. Definitely looking forward to that. Because it's starting to get a bit cold in New York yet again. This is Neuberger Berman. It's a very big asset manager here. I love the lobby of this building. Look at that. There's these really long marble hallways with a really nice waiting room. It's one of my favorite lobbies in the city. Hey, Joel PM says Bill Mayer. Oh, is that who's playing there? I don't know who that is. Any relation to John Mayer? Oh, Bill Maher. I don't know. Ah, JC, nice. You know, JC, I still have those original paper wallets. Do you remember them? I'm sure you remember them. Like physical paper wallets. Remember those? I still have some. And I have keys strategically placed in multiple locations. West 53rd Street. So from here you could see the Steinway Tower on New York City's Billionaires Row. This is the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. Wow. Wait, really? Wait, Daniel G, was that 124% or 12.4%? I think you meant 124%, right? Or were you talking about the month-over-month numbers? Ooh, I think they snagged that guy, the undercovers. Oh, people want to know my age? I'm 28. 28. We'll check out 53 West 53rd. If you want to know a little bit about me, if you type !Thomas, THOMAS, it'll drop my bio where you can see a little bit about me. But this is one of the main buildings here on New York City's Billionaires Road. This is 53 West 53rd. We've been here many times. Now I need to preview this building, and when I do, I'll make sure I get you all some amazing footage at 53 West 53. Somebody says, how much should I have saved by 30? I think it's very relative, right? I think everybody has different goals and aspirations in life. It just depends on what you want to do. You can see some residences coming out right now. This is the MoMA building. Now, I was able to get some footage of 74 Grand Street, so we will have that up on the channel pretty soon. I think you guys are really going to like 74 Grand. Now, it's available for rent, but we're trying to work with the sponsor for a sale. But we'll see. The market conditions are a little bit iffy, but right now you're looking into the lobby of MoMA. This is down into sort of the gift shop at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Hey, Jax is 28 as well, 1995. 1995 is the best year on record, my friend. So congratulations for you for being born in a fantastic year. It's amazing. This is the exclusive restaurant for the tower, 53 West 53. I did. TB says, Tom, did you work while you were in college? I did. I've somehow landed an account executive position when I was in college. So we were working hard. Now, it's easy to do that when you're in a city like New York, right? Because if you go to college in New York City, there's really no campus. So there's no distractions, right? Particularly if you go to a CUNY school in terms of the City University of New York. There's no campus, there's no dorms, there's no fun, right? So if you think about college as, going out partying, the frat houses and all that stuff, there's none of that in New York. It's one building, which is a skyscraper. You walk in, you get in the elevator, and you click the button where the, whichever floor you get off to go to class, and you go to class and you go home, and you go to work. Which, looking back, I'm so glad I did that, because it really does set you up really well in life. Is it a little bit of a sacrifice when you're young, right? Because you don't really have any fun when you're 17, 18, 19. Yeah. But looking back, I'm like, my God, thank God I did that. I wouldn't change anything about it. Oh, Jay Grant, cool. Says you got married in 1995. Love that. This is 432 Park Avenue up here. We'll head back up because I gotta head to the Upper West Side tonight. We'll walk out directly in front of the cab. Limitless NYC says, Tom, I stayed in that Hilton back in 2006. It was okay. Well, it's completely different now. It is totally renovated It closed down for the big C, for COVID, and it's completely different. It looks really good. That's the Hilton flagship hotel, which is right next door to the Alliance Bernstein, which is another big asset manager. But in this building is a hedge fund called Fortress Investments. You may have heard of Michael Novogratz, who actually got his start working on Wall Street for Goldman Sachs. He was a managing director, and then he left to go work at Fortress, which is right in this building here. And then he left Fortress to go start his own company called Galaxy Digital, where he helps onboard institutional investors and asset managers to the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So he will headhunt, junior investment bankers from bulge bracket investment banks like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and recruit them to come work at his cryptocurrency onboarding firm, if you will. This is a really good shot of the Steinway Tower. The Steinway is really growing on me. I really like that building a lot. I kind of like how compact the units are. Looks like they're doing some cleaning here. Pressure washing, power washing. Hey, Jen Claus, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, if anybody in the chat, any of the viewers, if you're looking to move to New York City, if you're looking to buy, sell, or rent, or even if you know of anybody in your family and your friends group that's looking to get exposure to New York City real estate, send them my way. That About Me page will tell you everything you need to know, and I'd be more than happy to help out. So feel free. Hey, Carl Roth says, hey Tom, markets were good today here in Toronto. Good to see you, Carl. Any thoughts about the inflation prints for the US last night? Or I should say yesterday morning. I'd love to know your thoughts. Also, ECB, we talked about the ECB raised rates today. We heard from Christine Lagarde. Joel PMs is not a fan of the piggy banks in the sky, but I get it. I don't know. There are some units. Let's put it this way. If I had the money, I would live in a 2-bedroom at the Steinway Tower as a primary. I would definitely do that. The piggy banks in the sky is really when you get up towards the 20 million plus. Maybe even like 25 million plus. There are some primary residences here, but I definitely get what you're saying for sure. Hey, cool. Somebody says I'm a realtor in Texas. Happy to collaborate for sure. Yeah, if I have any clients looking to get exposure there, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, so I came on board the Kirsten Jordan team, and I'll also be working with Kirsten's husband, who develops real estate in New York and Miami, which is really what I want to do. I want to develop my own buildings, build some pretty cool projects here in the city and in Miami. And also, I want to purchase some distressed assets, particularly commercial office in the city. So stay tuned. I'm working some interesting deals. I mean, I think the next couple of years is going to be really good for some big opportunity here in the city, and to create some really cool stuff. So yeah, and if anybody in the city or knows of any interesting deals that I may be interested in, send them my way. My email box is always open. I'd love to look at them. The more deal flow, the better. So please, I'd love to collaborate for sure. Wendy, England, yeah. You know, the brownstones of the Upper West Side are gorgeous too. They're very, very nice. Hey Tony, what's up? Good to see you. So this is the Steinway Tower. 111 West 57th Street. Look at that. That is a model of the Steinway Tower inside the lobby. Vince, is it the right time to buy? Well, I'll say this. The type of real estate that I'm selling in Manhattan, it's in a category where the clients that I'm advising is going to be completely different advice to say, you know, somebody who has a $450,000 budget and who's a first-time home buyer who's saved up, you know, $100,000 to put down on a home. So the advice I would say, the category that I'm dealing with, it's very different. You know, at the upper end, I'll say this. At the upper end of the market, the luxury market, which is really anything above $4 million, not all the time, by the way, and I want to make sure I'm explaining this appropriately. And this is something I've been learning as I've come on board, because again, you guys know, I have a very analytical mind, and my mind is more geared towards an investor, right, who's looking to buy like a wedge deal. Maybe you put, you know, 200 grand in the deal, you fix it up a little bit, you rent it out, the property cash flows really nicely. Some of the deals I'm working here in Manhattan, it's more of like white glove service, so to speak. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example of a deal I'm working right now. They're foreign buyers. They've never been to the United States. Their daughter got accepted to New York University, and she's going to be studying to be a doctor. That's what she wants to pursue. So the family, which is an extremely wealthy family, they're probably in like the top 1% of the 1%, they want to find an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, just under 2,000 square feet, for their daughter so that she could study. Hey man, what's up? Good to see you, man. I'll be back soon. Yeah, I'll be maybe like 2 weeks. Okay. 2 weeks. Take care, man. See ya. So I'm working a deal. Listen, I know all those guys at the Park Hyatt. I send a lot of my clients there. Anyway, so that's the deal I'm working, where it's like, you could be, some of these families are worth, you know, $200, $500 million. And they're not necessarily looking at the real estate market saying, okay, this apartment that I want to buy for my daughter, we have a $2 million budget, which we're going to purchase out of a trust. They're not looking to nickel and dime and fight and just completely get the best deal possible. Now, they're not looking just to frivolously blow money, but if it has everything that they want, if it has the doorman, if it has the 24-hour security, if it has the gym, if it has literally everything that they want, that they know that their daughter is going to have a safe place, white glove service where the chauffeur can, you know, pull right in the garage and checks every box, right? They'll pull the trigger and they have no problem paying full ask. Does that kind of make sense? So it's a little bit of a different sale sometimes. And now these aren't all the deals I'm working, right? This is just one very specific example. But in the Manhattan real estate market, you will come across things like that. And that requires a little bit of a different sale than what I'm used to with my way of thinking, right? Because I'm thinking about the deal from my perspective, from a real estate investor's perspective of I'm in the get-rich business. Some of the clients I'm working with, they're in the stay-rich business, and now they're trying to educate their kids, and they want to make sure they go to the best schools, they want to make sure they're safe, they want to make sure they're focused, and they don't want to have any distractions. And that's kind of the purpose of having money in the first place, right? So when those questions are asked, like, is now the right time to buy real estate? Well, the Manhattan real estate market is so unique to really any other market in the United States. So the advice I would give somebody who's, looking to buy their first deal, right, and they want the property to cash flow, and maybe they're looking at a duplex or a triplex, it's going to be completely different advice than, some of the clients I'm working with who are maybe just looking for a pied-a-terre, right? They're like, hey, I want to visit my son who's going to be a doctor in New York, and I want a one-bedroom apartment near Gramercy, but we're only going to be there 3 months out of the year just to visit the son. It's going to be like a pied-a-terre. It's different advice. So I'll try to explain the advice both ways. If you're a first-time home buyer in this market and your budget's like $450,000, I think you have a very good option here to wait to see prices continue to come down, because we've been talking about this almost ad nauseum. And not many realtors will tell you that, by the way, but usually whenever you ask a realtor, is now the right time to buy, they're always going to say yes, yes, yes. But taking a calculated risk here, you want to look for the best risk-adjusted return possible. And as we've been talking about, as interest rates go up, the most liquid assets are the first assets to reprice. And so we've already seen the repricing in equities, because equities are very liquid and traders can very, very rapidly adjust that pricing. Now, in real estate, particularly commercial real estate, it's less liquid. And residential real estate, it's less liquid. So what you see is a few things happen first. Number one, you'll start to see deal flow or transactions dry up. And how do we know that? Well, we look at two things. Number one, the National Association of Realtors, as they release their existing home sales reports, it's been declining every month for over a year now. Okay, so transaction volumes dry up, which means no deals are getting done because there's an imbalance between buyers and sellers. And sellers are not yet sort of coming to terms with reality. If they want to get their deal done, they're going to need to drop prices because rates are higher. And number two, you would look at the National Association of Home Builders for their new home sales reports. So you're just starting to see home prices come down, right, in the normal category, not ultra luxury. And you're starting to see supply come onto the market for new builds, particularly in Florida, particularly in Texas, and things like that. So if I was a first-time home buyer looking at all this data, I would be stacking so much dry powder right now and continuously hunting deals. You should be hunting for deals 24/7, 365, right? Every weekend you should be shopping a deal. You should be running the numbers, making sure the numbers work, and if they don't work, you don't pull the trigger. But as we move into this higher for longer rate environment, it's changing from a seller's market to a buyer's market, and that means probably in, I would bet maybe 7 to 8 months, 7 to 10 months in those select markets like Austin, Texas, Miami, Florida, outside of Orlando, you're probably going to get some good deals. And I think valuations will be less than they are right now. So running that risk reward, if you say, okay, what are the odds that real estate prices go up 5% between now and the next 8 months? And what is the probability that real estate prices will go down between now and the next 8 months? I mean, it's a pretty good risk reward in your favor to wait a little bit if you're a first-time buyer and you're looking for a deal that'll cash flow, right? Maybe it's a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. So that's what I would say if I was selling in that type of market. I also think, in the $1 to $2 million range in Manhattan, I think those prices are going to soften a little bit. I would always be hunting for the deal, and if you see a deal you like, make an offer and you can negotiate. But I would not put the offer at full ask in this environment. Everybody's negotiating. That's what I would say. Hopefully that makes sense. That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right, but. Hey, hang with Mark Mom, says Tom. It's becoming a buyer's market here in Orlando. Prices are definitely falling. Hey, Lisa is saying this so politely and respectfully. I have never understood realtor commissions based on percentage of owners' assets and not more cost related to the actual work done and service provided. Well, you can structure it any way you want. There's no solid way to structure it. Most times in Manhattan, again, it's different, right? Because our average transaction price is a lot higher. So you're not going to see like a 6% commission on a $100 million property. Okay, it's probably going to be like 1 or 2%. But let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, particularly in Manhattan, dealing with boards, dealing with lawyers, marketing these properties, negotiating these deals, especially on the commercial side. The commercial side is very, very labor intensive. I mean, some of these deals that I'm working right now, the diligence phase is crazy. It's like literally you have an analyst job at like a CRE brokerage. It's, you're building a lot of models. It's a lot. It's a lot. At least the firm that I work for, it's a lot. But yeah, in markets where you have the average sales price like $150,000 to $300,000, I don't know, what are commissions, like 6%? It's not like that in Manhattan. No way, no way, no way. If you're selling a $16 million property, very seldom are you going to get a 6% commission. It'll probably be maybe 3, 2.5, 3, something like that. But I do agree about the laboriousness of some of this work with dealing with lawyers. I mean, you guys would just be in tears laughing about some of the stuff they're fighting over. It's, yeah, I mean, and lawyers bill by the hour too. So the more emails you send, the more money it racks up. Hey, hang with Mark Mom says home prices are reducing and there is an increase with buyer financing that fell through, forcing the sellers to reduce. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a crazy story of one of our deals. Now, this was due to other reasons, which I can't really get into, but we just had a buyer walk and forfeit their deposit. And they put down, I think the deposit was a little over $250,000, and the buyer walked. Think about how crazy that is. I mean, that's some of the stuff you deal with. I mean, wow, to be able to walk away from a $250,000 deposit and say, no, we don't want the deal anymore. I mean, I guess, good for the sponsor, because the sponsor just gets a $250,000, but wow, that one really shocked me. I was on the phone today working that, and yeah, let's just say, wow. Now, some of my friends who work in commercial sales have been telling me some crazy stories about massive deposits that have been left. I heard a wild story. The largest deposit that was forfeited one of my friends said was a $15 million deposit on a building near Bryant Park. Now I can't say which one, but I mean, think about that. To give up 15 million bucks. Wow. Crazy. Yeah, A-Scan, they were already in contract. And, if you don't fulfill on that obligation, you forfeit the deposit. Kind of crazy. Paranoid androids is whether it's commercial or residential, it should be capped by law at 2 to 3%. Why? Why do you think that? Curious. I think the marketplace should decide. I think it should be agreed upon by the buyer and the seller. Hey, Bob Smith says, do you have a financier or network of bankers you refer clients to for commercial or luxury residential? Like in my personal sphere? Not really. I mean, I would say the majority of my network works in tech or banking or like VC in New York. That's just because that's what I've worked in, right? I've been in tech pretty much my entire life. Oh, well, let's wait for this garbage guy to go through. I will say this, it's a lot of fun. This is way more fun than tech sales, I would say. Just because you get to see so many different people, particularly in Manhattan. I mean, the people you come across is just, it's unbelievable. It just really opens your eyes to what a very, very big world it is out there. And you get to see so much amazing property. And network with some of the best developers in the world, really. I mean, if you're, a major real estate developer in New York, and if you can make it here, not to be cliche, you can really make it anywhere. So being able to build that network of developers is fantastic, particularly being that I want to develop my own buildings, both residential and commercial. You kind of have to have that network of developers who've done these big deals, which is great. So it's good experience, it's a great time, it's very fun, and I think I'm working for the best team. I mean, the experience and the track record of the people who are on the team, it's just insane. It's a good time, it's a fun time, and I think the opportune time to get into a new career is when the vast majority of people are getting out and there's a lot of chaos in the environment. And we've talked about this before, because when there's chaos and then there's volatility, for the discipline that creates massive opportunity. I was just reading an article that said 60,000 realtors left the business. Right? Which was, we predicted this a year ago because times were easy, right? Everybody was doing deals. Like, you didn't even have to know anything about real estate to do a deal in 2021. Things were just flying off the shelf. So the market, in my opinion, is fundamentally shifting towards the quality. And if you can dig your heels in the sand now and really build a business and be there for your clients, particularly if you have a lot of dry powder and capital, to maybe even partner with your clients to do really big deals, you're gonna do really well. So, I kind of got that from Sam Zell. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Sam Zell. Unfortunately, he did pass away, but he's one of the was one of the greatest contrarians of all time, right? Sam Zell grew a multi-billion-dollar business by being a contrarian. Now, don't be a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian. Take a calculated risk and you look to gain your edge and exploit vulnerabilities in the marketplace, right? And I think if you could stack those three things on top of one another, I think you'll do really good. So be contrarian in nature, do the opposite of the crowd. So when everybody's getting out of the business because it's tough, you should be pouring everything you got into the business, right? when everybody's saying, oh, it's too tough, oh, no deals are being done, I'm going to find something else to do, they get shiny object syndrome. You quietly go in and you plant your foot in the industry and you dominate it and you take over. And hopefully you'll have some dry powder from being diligent and saving and investing, and you could do some big things. So, and that doesn't necessarily apply to real estate, it applies to anything. It applies to literally any business. You could even be in the restaurant business and do this. It's just, that's how things work, right? In the hedge fund business, it's called crowdedness. This is Lincoln Center, by the way. So when everybody's running the same strategy on Wall Street, and when everybody's doing the same thing, it becomes crowded. And when things are crowded, your alpha diminishes. So there's a higher probability you'll be able to generate alpha if not a lot of people are doing it. But if the industry or something gets very crowded, your ability to make money or generate alpha, as the term is called, goes down significantly. And I think we'll end it there, guys, because I'm kind of tired, and I'm going to check this basketball thing out. But I think that was a fun stream. I think that was a really fun stream, and I appreciate all of you for coming out and participating and walking around the greatest city on earth. And yeah, so guys, thanks for joining and have a wonderful Friday. Thank God it is Friday. B. Cruz, thank you so much. Carl Roth, Brad's Brain, thank you. Teresa Diaz, Paranoid Android, thank you so much. I disagree. I won't argue, I'm too tired. Arsenal Fan 13, thank you so much. Sally, appreciate it. Hawaii, Mel, Jeff in Southern Tier, New York. Larry Van D, John, NMB 045, Optimus 17, appreciate it. Chinook Wins, A Scan, NNB 045, Philip Holbrook. If you guys enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Action Kid, good to see you. Action Kid, have a fantastic Friday. We'll see you later.